In the world of modern Hollywood, very few names carry the same weight as Chris Hemsworth. To many, he is synonymous with Thor, the god of thunder, wielding a hammer that has become one of cinema's most iconic weapons. But Hemsworth's journey to superstardom was anything but guaranteed. He didn't just walk onto the stage as a Marvel hero and stay there. His rise was built on years of struggle, reinvention, and persistence. Today, he is one of the most bankable stars in the world, a global household name whose career tells us as much about Hollywood's changing landscape as it does about his own talent and charisma. Chris Hemsworth was born in Melbourne, Australia, in 1983, the middle of three brothers. Growing up in a modest household, he wasn't raised in the glittering world of movie stardom but in the rugged beauty of the Australian outback and surf towns. He often described his upbringing as both ordinary and adventurous, surrounded by natural landscapes that would later fuel his love for physical roles. While his older brother Luke pursued acting first, Chris was far from an overnight prodigy. He worked odd jobs, from cleaning breast pumps at a pharmacy to waiting tables, all while dreaming of making it as an actor. Hemsworth's early career was rooted in Australian television, with small guest appearances that gave him a taste of the industry. But it was his casting as Kim Hyde on the long-running soap Home and Away that put him on the map in Australia. For nearly 3 years, Hemsworth played the rebellious teenager, giving him a steady paycheck and local recognition. Yet, while he appreciated the platform, he quickly realized he wanted more. Staying in the comfort zone of Australian soaps might have offered security, but his ambition pushed him to chase Hollywood, a leap that few Australians managed to pull off successfully at the time. When Hemsworth arrived in Los Angeles, he faced rejection after rejection. Hollywood was already saturated with young actors vying for the same roles, and Chris, with his tall frame, thick accent, and limited credits, was often overlooked. One of his earliest Hollywood auditions was for 2009 Star Trek. Interestingly, while he only had a brief role as George Kirk, Captain Kirk's father, his performance in those few minutes left an impression. It was raw, heroic, and emotional, the kind of introduction that hinted at what he was capable of. But even then, he wasn't the obvious choice for bigger projects. The defining moment of his career came with Marvel. By the late 2000s, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was already becoming a juggernaut. With Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk laying the groundwork, Marvel Studios was searching for someone to embody Thor, a godly yet grounded character. Hemsworth wasn't the first pick. In fact, he almost didn't make it into the audition process. Studio executives worried he was too unknown, too inexperienced. He also bombed his first audition, leaving casting directors unconvinced. But fate intervened when his younger brother Liam, also an actor, nearly landed the role. Chris, determined not to lose out, returned for another audition, this time bringing an intensity and presence that was impossible to ignore. In 2011, Chris Hemsworth was officially announced as Thor. It was a career-making role, but also a huge gamble. Playing a superhero is one thing, playing a Norse god with a hammer and long blonde hair risked veering into parody. Yet, Hemsworth brought the perfect combination of physicality, charisma, and vulnerability. Under Kenneth Branagh's direction, Thor became a surprise success, grossing nearly $450 million worldwide and launching Hemsworth into global stardom. For the first time, audiences saw him not just as another handsome actor but as a leading man with real staying power. But being Thor was only the beginning. With the Avengers in 2012, Hemsworth cemented his place in one of the most successful franchises in history. Surrounded by stars like Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, and Chris Evans, he held his own, delivering both comedic timing and emotional weight. The film was a phenomenon, grossing over $1.5 billion, and overnight, Hemsworth's name became inseparable from the Marvel Universe. Yet he understood the danger of being typecast. While Thor made him a star, it could also trap him in one-dimensional roles if he didn't branch out. Hemsworth's career outside of Marvel was filled with experimentation. He took on roles in films like Rush, 2013, directed by Ron Howard, where he played Formula One driver James Hunt. The performance earned him critical acclaim, proving he could embody real-life characters with nuance and depth. At the same time, he explored action in films like Snow White and the Huntsman, showcased his comedic chops in Ghostbusters, 2016, and even experimented with thrillers like Black Hat. Not every project worked. Some films underperformed, leading critics to wonder if he could truly succeed outside the Marvel bubble. But Hemsworth never stopped trying, never stopped pushing to show versatility. A turning point came with Thor: Ragnarok in 2017. By then, the Thor franchise was struggling. The first two films had made money but failed to ignite the same excitement as Iron Man or Captain America. Enter director Taika Waititi, who reinvented the character with humor, color, and irreverence. Hemsworth embraced the change, revealing a comedic side audiences hadn't fully seen before. Ragnarok became a smash hit, revitalizing Thor and solidifying Hemsworth's reputation as not just an action star but also a gifted comedic performer. Fans saw a different side of him, playful, self-aware, and endlessly entertaining. Hemsworth's appeal extended beyond the screen. He cultivated a relatable public persona, often poking fun at himself in interviews, showing off his family life on social media, and staying grounded despite his superstardom. Unlike many of his peers, he didn't come across as untouchable. He was the Hollywood megastar who still seemed like the approachable guy you'd want to grab a beer with. His marriage to Spanish actress Elsa Pataky and their 3 children became part of his public image, painting him as a devoted family man who balanced blockbuster fame with personal priorities. By the late 2010s, Hemsworth wasn't just an actor, he was a global brand. He launched Center, a health and fitness app inspired by his own training routines, capitalizing on his reputation as one of Hollywood's fittest stars. He also signed on to Netflix's Extraction, which became one of the platform's most watched original films, further expanding his reach into streaming, the future of entertainment. But perhaps what makes Hemsworth's story so compelling is his resilience. Hollywood can be brutal. For every Marvel role, there are box office failures, harsh reviews, and relentless competition. Yet Hemsworth managed to reinvent himself time and again. When people questioned Thor's future, he reinvented the character with humor. When skeptics said he was only a superhero, he proved he could succeed on streaming platforms and in independent projects. Today, Chris Hemsworth stands as one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. His films consistently draw audiences, his name alone can greenlight projects, and his presence in the Marvel Universe continues to anchor one of cinema's biggest franchises. But more than that, he represents a new kind of stardom, one that balances action with relatability, global fame with personal authenticity. His journey from cleaning breast pumps in Australia to becoming one of the highest-paid actors in the world is a story of perseverance, talent, and timing. Chris Hemsworth didn't just become Thor, he became a symbol of how hard work, charisma, and adaptability can turn a small-town kid into a global superstar. And as Hollywood continues to evolve, one thing seems certain: Chris Hemsworth isn't just part of the industry, he's shaping what modern stardom looks like. Because if there's one lesson his career teaches us, it's this: superheroes may be born in comic books, but the ones we celebrate in real life are made through grit, reinvention, and the ability to keep standing tall, hammer in hand, even when the odds are stacked against you.